Velete, thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. The phone you are holding in your hand right now has a dark, bleeding secret. We look at our smooth screens and we see the future, connection and progress. But behind that bright glass is a raw terror paid for in the screams of children and the systematic destruction of millions of innocent lives. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, our beautiful modern world goes to die, or rather, it is born out of pure horror. Today, we are diving deep into a mirror that global leaders have tried to hide for over 20 years. We are doing a raw analysis of a breaking, fearing speech delivered on the global stage of Nobel Peace Prize by Dr. Denis Mukwege. In his speech, this brave doctor stands before the world's elite and forces everyone to look at the blood on their own hands. If you think this story does not involve you, you are desperately mistaken. By the end of this analysis, you will never look at your phone, your car, or your jewelry the same way again. Stay with me, because we owe it to the victims and we owe it to our own humanity to finally open our eyes. Dr. Mukwege begins his historic speech with a riddle that is a horrific daily reality. He comes from a country that is one of the richest on the entire planet, yet the people of his country are among the poorest in the world. How can a nation be incredibly wealthy, but its citizens are starving in complete misery?
My name is Denis Mukwege. I come from a country the richest on the planet. Yet the people of my country are among the poorest in the world. The troubling reality is that the abundance of our natural resources, gold, coltan, cobalt, and other strategic minerals, fuels the war, a source of extreme violence and abject poverty in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. We all love beautiful cars, jewelry, gadgets. I myself have a smartphone. These objects contain minerals found in our country, often extracted under inhumane conditions by young children who are victims of intimidation and sexual violence. While driving your electric car, using your smartphone, admiring your jewelry, take a moment to think about the human cost of making these objects. As a consumer, the least we can do As consumers, the least we can do is insist that these products are made with respect for human dignity. Closing our eyes to tragedies is to be complicit. It is not only the perpetrators of violence who are responsible for their crimes, but also those who choose to look away. My country is systematically plundered with the complicity of those who claim to be our leaders. Pillaged for their power, pillaged for their wealth and glory, pillaged at the expense of millions of innocent men, women, and children abandoned in extreme poverty, while the profits from our minerals end up in the opaque accounts of a predatory oligarchy. It has been 20 years to the day that at Panzi hospitals, I have seen the consequences of this poor governance of my country. babies, girls, young women, mothers, grandmothers, and also men and boys cruelly raped, often in public, collectively by inserting burning plastic or introducing blunt objects into their genitals. I spare you the details. The Congolese people have been humiliated, mistreated, and massacred for more than 2 decades in full view of the international community. Today, thanks to new information and communication technologies, no one can say I didn't know. With this Nobel Peace Prize, I call on the world to bear witness and urge you to join us in ending this suffering that shames our common humanity. The people of my country desperately need peace. But how can peace be built on mass graves? How can peace be built without truth or reconciliation? How can peace be built without justice or reparation?
As I speak to you,
a report is gathering dust in the drawer.
From an office in New York.
It was drafted following a professional and thorough investigation into war crimes and human rights violations committed in Congo. This investigation explicitly names victims, places, dates, but avoids the perpetrators. These reports from the mapping project established by the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights describe no fewer than 617 war crimes and crimes against humanity and possibly even genocide crimes.
What is the world waiting for to take it into account?
There is no lasting peace without justice. However, justice is not negotiable. Let us have the courage to take a critical and impartial look at the events that have been plaguing the Great Lakes region for too long. Let us have the courage to reveal the names of the perpetrators of crimes against humanity, to simply prevent them from continuing to bring mourning to this martyr region. Let us have the courage to acknowledge our past mistakes. Let us have the courage to tell the truth and engage in remembrance. Dear Congolese compatriots, let us have the courage to take our destiny into our own hands. Let us build peace. Let us build Let's build peace. Let's build the future of our country. Together, let's build a better future for Africa. No one will do it for us. Ladies and gentlemen, friends of peace, the picture I have painted for you presents a grim reality, but allow me to tell you Sarah's story. Sarah was transferred to us at Panzi Hospital in critical condition. Her village home had been attacked by an armed group that had massacred her entire family, leaving her alone. Taken hostage, she was brought into the forest, tied to a tree naked. Every day, Sarah was subjected to gang rapes until she lost consciousness. The purpose of these rapes used as a weapon of war was to destroy, of course, Sarah.
The treasure inside the earth has become a deadly curse to the people walking on top of it. The soil of the Congo is packed with riches worth billions. Gold, cobalt for our smartphones, and cobalt for our electrical batteries. Without the Congo, the modern world completely stops working. The tech revolution grinds to a halt, and the green energy transition vanishes. But instead of this war building roads and safe communities, it has turned the Congo into a giant open-air slaughterhouse. This resources wealth fuels the savage wars that unalive the population. Warlords, corrupt corporations, foreign nations, and local militias descend like vultures, tearing at the flesh of the country to get to the treasures underneath, leaving the innocent families to starve on top of gold mines. The doctor does something incredibly brave by looking directly at you and me, stating plainly that we all love beautiful cars, jewelry, and gadgets. He connects our comfortable daily lifestyle directly to this ongoing bloodshed. Before a smartphone ends up in a clean store, it starts in a handmade mine, shaft dug into a collapsing hillside. Because these mines are controlled by brutal militias, there are no safety laws or fair wages. Instead, little boys and girls, some as young as 6 or 7 years old, are forced to crawl into tiny pitch black holes. They spend 14 hours a day breathing toxic dust, scraping minerals with their bare hands, risking being buried alive. These children are victims of constant intimidation and extreme sexual violence used by militias to keep the workforce compliant to the flow of minerals never stop. When we upgrade our phones every year, we drive that demand. Our convenience is bought with their blood. This leads to the chilling concept of complicity. Dr. Mukwege says that to close our eyes to this drama is to be complicit. Your choice to turn your head helps the unalivers keep operating in the dark. It is not just the people pulling the triggers who are responsible. The massive international corporations buying these minerals through shadow suppliers and the global governments looking the other way are just as guilty. When we choose ignorance, we choose to support the oppressor. Our silence is a weapon used against his people. Every time we look away, we give the perpetrators permission to continue. As a surgeon at the Panzi Hospital, Dr. Mukwege has spent 20 years witnessing the physical destruction caused by this war. Armies and rebels groups have weaponized the human body itself, turning sexual violence into a calculated military strategy of mass destruction. Babies, young girls, mothers, grandmothers, and even men and boys are cruelly and publicly assaulted in front of their communities to maximize the psychological trauma. They use burning plastic and blunt objects to tear internal organs to pieces. This extreme terror completely strips the social fabric, breaks families with shame, and forces entire villages to flee into crowded refugee camps. Once the land is cleared of its inhabitants, the militias and legal mining companies move right to dig up the gold, cobalt, and cobalt without resistance. The trauma of the young girl is the literal price paid to clear a path for a global supply chain. There is deep, agonizing sense of betrayal running through this conflict. It has been going on right in front of the international community for over 2 decades. In our modern era of satellite and instant communication, no one can claim they do not know. The global powers, the United Nations, and world governments know the truth, yet the response has been a collective strength. Why? Because the international system benefits from a weak, chaotic Congo. A stable government will enforce labor laws and demand fair prices, which will make smartphones expensive and shrink corporate profits. The global economy prefers a lawless Congo to keep raw materials incredibly cheap. The people of the Congo have been sacrificed on the altar of global capitalism. To prove this betrayal, Dr. Mukwege reveals that the United Nations mapping exercise report is currently gathering dust in a drawer in New York. This is why we call for the African unity and more of Traore Assimi and Abdurrahmane Chiani in the whole of Africa. Until we unite and fight for total liberation, we will never be free. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we'll make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world in Africa, Central Africa, and in Congo.